I've just done a couple comedies, but that doesn't mean you're moving away from it. You take a little
And
breather.
You just add on.
For years, Arnold and Sly pretended to be friends, but they actually hated each other's guts. At 78, Stallone finally spills about the time Arnold spread false rumors to steal his roles, the nasty prank that ruined Stallone's career in the 90s, and why they really fought over the same woman. And wait till you hear what happened when they were alone in an elevator. Today, Stallone tells all about the man he couldn't beat. Sylvester Stallone was born on July 6, 1946, in Hell's Kitchen, New York City. His birth was difficult. A doctor used forceps during delivery and accidentally severed a nerve in his cheek. This left the lower left side of his face partially paralyzed. His droopy eyelid, slurred speech, and signature snarl were the result of that moment. People would later recognize these traits as part of his tough guy image, but as a child, they made life hard for him. His early years were filled with struggle. His parents' relationship was unstable, and he spent much of his infancy in boarding care. By the time he was 5, his family moved to Maryland, but things didn't improve. His parents divorced in 1957, and Stallone was caught between them. At 11, he lived with his father. At 15, he moved to Philadelphia with his mother, who had remarried. He changed schools often, and never felt like he belonged anywhere. His facial paralysis made him a target for bullying. Teachers didn't believe in him either. A guidance counselor told his mother that Stallone would never succeed beyond doing simple labor. By the age of 13, he had been expelled from 14 schools. His frustration led to fights and constant trouble. Eventually, he was sent to Devereux Manor High School in Philadelphia, a school for emotionally troubled youth. He struggled there too, but he started channeling his energy into sports. He took up football and weightlifting. For the first time, he found a way to push himself in a positive direction. Acting was never part of the plan, but during his time at the American College of Switzerland, where he studied on an athletic scholarship, he took a role in a production of Death of a Salesman. That moment changed everything. He loved performing. When he returned to the U.S., he studied drama at the University of Miami from 1967 to 1969. But school wasn't where he wanted to be. Hollywood was his real goal. He dropped out just before graduating to chase his dream. Reality hit hard. In New York, he was broke and unknown. He took any job he could to survive. He cleaned lion cages at the Central Park Zoo. He cut fish heads at a deli. He worked as a movie theater usher for $39 a week. At his lowest point, he had no home and slept at the Port Authority bus terminal for 3 weeks. Out of desperation, he even appeared in a softcore pornography film. It wasn't what he wanted, but he needed the money. He kept pushing forward. He knocked on casting agents' doors over 1,500 times. Most of them threw him out. When he did land roles, they were small. Thugs, extras, nameless background characters in films like Bananas, 1971, and Clute, 1971. He knew no one was going to hand him a great role. He had to create one himself. So he started writing. 5 scripts failed. Then, on March 24, 1975, he watched a fight that changed everything. Muhammad Ali was up against Chuck Wepner, a little-known boxer who wasn't supposed to last long. But Wepner stayed in the ring, making it to the 15th round and even knocking Ali down once. He lost the fight, but his determination stuck with Stallone. That fight became the inspiration for Rocky. Stallone poured everything into the script. He created a character who wasn't the strongest or the fastest, but refused to quit. Studios loved the story, but they didn't want Stallone to play the lead. They wanted a big-name actor. They even offered him $360,000 just for the rights. That was more money than he had ever seen. But he knew if he took the deal, someone else would play Rocky Balboa. He couldn't let that happen. He turned them down, even though he had almost nothing. The studios pushed back. They thought he didn't look right. They thought he didn't sound right. But he refused to sell the script without playing the lead. United Artists finally gave in, but kept the budget low. Less than $1 million. That meant cutting costs everywhere. Many scenes were shot using handheld cameras. Friends and family played minor roles. Stallone and the crew had to work fast, often filming in one take. Everything about the movie felt real because there was no other choice. When Rocky hit theaters on December 3, 1976, it became a sensation. It made about $225 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing film of the year. Adjusted for inflation, that's over $500 million. Critics praised it, audiences loved it, and the Academy took notice. The film received 10 Oscar nominations and won 3, including Best Picture, Best Director for John G. Avildsen, and Best Film Editing. But Rocky was more than just a box office hit. It arrived at the perfect time. America was going through economic struggles, and people needed hope. Rocky Balboa became a symbol of determination. The scene where he runs up the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art became one of the most famous moments in film history. Even today, people visit those steps to reenact the moment. The phrase, "Yo, Adrian," became part of pop culture. The film also changed how sports were shown in movies. The training montage, set to Bill Conti's Gonna Fly Now, became legendary. Athletes started using the film as motivation. Rocky made underdog stories more powerful than ever. Making the film had been a battle from the start. Stallone knew the test screenings would be crucial. At a screening for 900 people at the Directors Guild, he watched nervously. At first, some moments didn't land as expected. Some fight scenes seemed off. But as the film went on, something changed. The audience connected with Rocky's story. By the end, they were cheering. That moment proved to Stallone that he had done the right thing. The success of Rocky led to an entire franchise. Rocky II came out in 1979, followed by Rocky III in 1982, Rocky IV in 1985, and Rocky V in 1990. Stallone wrote and directed most of them. Each sequel introduced new rivals. Mr. T played Clubber Lang in Rocky III. Dolph Lundgren played Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. The franchise kept growing, and in 2006, Stallone returned with Rocky Balboa, bringing the story full circle. Then came the Creed films. Creed, 2015, introduced a new chapter, focusing on Adonis Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan. The sequel, Creed II, 2018, continued his journey. Creed III, 2023, kept the legacy alive. The Rocky franchise has now made over $1.7 billion worldwide. Plans for a prequel series about Rocky's early years are also in discussion. None of this would have happened if Stallone had taken that $360,000. If he had sold the script, Rocky would have been just another boxing movie. Instead, he bet on himself. He turned his struggles into one of the greatest underdog stories of all time. John Rambo wasn't just another action hero. He was different. He was a soldier left behind by the world, a man haunted by war and struggling to find his place. His journey started with First Blood in 1982, a film based on David Morrell's 1972 novel. Directed by Ted Kotcheff and co-written by Sylvester Stallone, the movie introduced Rambo as a Vietnam War veteran dealing with PTSD. He wasn't looking for a fight. He just wanted to visit an old friend. But when he walked into the small town of Hope, Washington, he found trouble instead. Sheriff Will Teasel saw him as a drifter and tried to push him out. Rambo refused. The situation spiraled into a brutal manhunt, forcing him to rely on the survival skills he had learned in combat. Stallone made key changes to Morrell's original story. In the novel, Rambo kills multiple pursuers. In the film, he doesn't directly take a single life. This change made him more human. Instead of a ruthless killer, he became a broken man trying to escape his past. The film's original ending had Rambo dying by suicide, but Stallone fought to change it. He wanted audiences to see that Rambo's battle wasn't over. He was still fighting to survive. First Blood was released on October 22, 1982. It cost $15 million to make and earned $160.3 million worldwide, making it the 13th highest-grossing film of the year. Critics were divided at first, but audiences connected with Rambo's story. Vietnam veterans, in particular, saw themselves in him. Stallone had rewritten the script multiple times with input from real veterans to make Rambo's struggles feel real. After the success of First Blood, Stallone took Rambo in a new direction. Rambo: First Blood. Part 2 came out in 1985. This time, Rambo wasn't just surviving, he was fighting back. The government sent him on a mission to rescue American POWs, still trapped in Vietnam. But when his superiors abandoned him, he was forced to go to war alone. The film was a huge hit, earning over $300 million worldwide. It was bigger, louder, and more action-packed than the first. Rambo became an unstoppable warrior, and the character became a global icon. By the time Rambo 3 hit theaters in 1988, Stallone was the highest-paid actor in Hollywood. He earned $16 million for the film, a record-breaking salary at the time. This time, Rambo took on the Soviet army in Afghanistan, helping local rebels fight back. The budget ranged between $58 and $63 million, making it the most expensive movie ever made at that point. The film's political message became outdated after the Cold War, but the action sequences were massive. The image of Rambo wielding a machine gun and taking on an entire army became legendary. Rambo wasn't just a fictional character. He was inspired by real soldiers. Morell based parts of his novel on Audie Murphy, the most decorated soldier of World War II. Murphy had earned 33 medals for bravery, including the Congressional Medal of Honor. But after the war, he struggled with PTSD, just like Rambo. Stallone carried that realism into the films. He consulted veterans and military experts for accuracy. For First Blood Part 2, he worked with Soldier of Fortune magazine to understand the situation of abandoned POWs. For Rambo 3, he studied Afghanistan's conflict to ensure the story reflected real-world events. There was even a real soldier named Rambo who fought in Vietnam. He wasn't connected to the character, but the coincidence added to the legend. The mix of reality and fiction made John Rambo feel authentic. He wasn't just an action star. He was a symbol of what many veterans had gone through, forgotten by their country and struggling to find peace. In 2008, after 20 years, Stallone brought Rambo back. The fourth film, simply titled Rambo, tackled a real-world crisis, the genocide in Burma. This time, the violence was shocking. The film opened with real news footage showing the horrors of the Burmese military regime. Stallone cast real Karen refugees as extras and used dialogue inspired by actual resistance fighters. The film had 264 on-screen kills, one of the highest body counts in film history. Some critics called it excessive, but many veterans praised its realism. The wounds, the weapons, the brutality, it all felt real. The franchise continued with Rambo: Last Blood in 2019. This time, Rambo was older and facing a different enemy: human traffickers. The film explored themes of veteran trauma and revenge. It wasn't as well received as previous films, but it stayed true to Rambo's character. He was still a warrior. He was still fighting for justice. Stallone has always said Rambo wasn't meant to be political, but every film reflected real-world struggles. Rambo 3 showed the Cold War conflict in Afghanistan. Rambo exposed human rights abuses in Burma. Last Blood highlighted the dangers of human trafficking. Rambo wasn't just about action. He was about survival. He was about fighting back when no one else would. Sylvester Stallone became one of the biggest action stars of the 1980s and 1990s, creating films that defined the genre. He built his reputation on tough, no-nonsense characters who fought against impossible odds. In Cobra, 1986, he played Los Angeles Police Lieutenant Marion Cobra Cobretti, a fearless cop taking on a violent cult of serial killers. The film had started as his script for Beverly Hills Cop, but after he left that project, he turned it into something darker. Critics attacked Cobra for being too violent, but audiences loved it. The movie made a strong impact at the box office and later gained a cult following. It was also the last time Stallone worked with his then-wife Brigitte Nielsen before their divorce in 1987. By the early 90s, Stallone's career had hit a rough patch. He needed a comeback, and Cliffhanger, 1993, delivered exactly that. The film was shot in the Dolomite Mountains in Italy, where he played Gabe Walker, a rescue ranger haunted by a failed mission. Stallone had to perform dangerous stunts despite his fear of heights. The risk paid off. Cliffhanger was released on May 28, 1993, and made over $255 million worldwide. It put him back on top. That same year, he took on a different kind of role in Demolition Man. The film blended science fiction with high-energy action. He played John Spartan, a cop frozen in time and awakened in the year 2032 to capture a dangerous criminal played by Wesley Snipes. The movie had a unique futuristic setting and a mix of humor and action that made it stand out. It earned $159.1 million worldwide and became a fan favorite. Stallone had proven he could handle more than just traditional action roles. While Stallone was dominating the box office, his rivalry with Arnold Schwarzenegger was taking on a life of its own. They first met at a Golden Globe ceremony in the late 1970s, and the competition started immediately. Both were trying to be the biggest action star in Hollywood. They battled for the best roles, the biggest paychecks, and even the most impressive physiques. They took shots at each other in movies, with Schwarzenegger making fun of Rambo in Twins and Stallone mocking him with a rival character in Rocky IV. Their feud reached a ridiculous level in 1992 when Schwarzenegger pulled off one of the biggest pranks in Hollywood history. At the time, Stallone was looking for his next big project. Schwarzenegger learned about a terrible script for a comedy called Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot, and saw an opportunity. He pretended to be interested in the role, making sure the news got back to Stallone. Not wanting to lose out to his biggest rival, Stallone quickly took the part. The movie was a disaster. Critics hated it. Audiences ignored it. Stallone later admitted it was one of the worst mistakes of his career. Years later, Schwarzenegger confirmed that he had faked his interest just to trick Stallone into taking the role. For years, their rivalry kept them apart. But things changed in the mid-90s when they both became investors in Planet Hollywood. They had to appear together at events and slowly got to know each other outside of their competition. By 2010, their relationship had turned into something fans had never expected. Instead of battling for box office dominance, they teamed up in the Expendables franchise. For the first time, audiences saw them fight side by side. By The Expendables 2, they had fully embraced their history, turning their old rivalry into playful on-screen chemistry. Then, in 2013, they co-starred in Escape Plan, proving they worked just as well as co-leads. Now, they openly talk about how much they motivated each other. Stallone admits that Schwarzenegger pushed him to work harder, while Schwarzenegger credits Stallone for making him strive for more. What started as a rivalry had turned into one of Hollywood's greatest friendships. By the early 2000s, Sylvester Stallone's career was in serious trouble. His days as a box office king seemed to be over. His attempt to revive his success with Driven in 2001 turned into a disaster. He wrote, produced, and starred in the racing drama, but it failed in every way. The budget reached $72 million, but the movie only made $32 million worldwide. Critics hated it. They called the story unrealistic and the CGI effects overdone. The film holds a terrible 14% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It even earned 7 Golden Raspberry Award nominations, including Worst Picture and Worst Screenplay. Stallone later admitted he regretted making it. Things got even worse with Detox in 2002, later renamed ICU. The psychological thriller had so many problems that Universal Pictures delayed its release for 3 years. Test screenings went so badly that the studio lost confidence in the film. When it finally came out, it failed to recover its $55 million budget. In many countries, it skipped theaters and went straight to DVD. Critics compared it to classics like Seven and The Thing, but they agreed it lacked suspense. His next films, Avenging Angelo in 2002 and Shade in 2003, didn't help. Both flopped. Stallone was no longer the Hollywood star he used to be. He had dominated the 80s and early 90s, but now it seemed like his career was finished. Then, in 2006, everything changed. He decided to bring back Rocky, the character that had made him famous. The franchise had ended on a disappointing note with Rocky V in 1990, a film many fans wanted to forget. But Stallone wasn't ready to let it go. He wrote, directed, and starred in Rocky Balboa, determined to give the series the ending it deserved. At 60 years old, he played an aging Rocky, struggling with the death of his wife Adrian and a distant relationship with his son. He was out of the spotlight, running a small restaurant. But when he got the chance to fight one last time, he took it. Stallone wanted the boxing scenes to feel real, so he and co-star Antonio Tarver actually exchanged punches. The movie struck a chord with audiences. Released on December 20th, 2006, exactly 30 years after the original Rocky, it made $156 million worldwide on a $24 million budget. Critics praised Stallone's performance and called the film a return to the heart of the original. It wasn't just a comeback for Rocky, it was a comeback for Stallone. His success with Rocky Balboa paved the way for the Creed films, which began in 2015 and introduced a new generation to the story. Stallone didn't stop there. In 2010, he proved his action star status was still alive with The Expendables. He directed, co-wrote, and starred in the film as Barney Ross, the leader of a team of elite mercenaries. But the real highlight was the cast. Jason Statham, Jet Li, Dolph Lundgren, Mickey Rourke, Terry Crews, Randy Couture, Bruce Willis, and Arnold Schwarzenegger all appeared in the movie, creating an action star dream team. The story was simple. The Expendables were hired to take down a brutal dictator controlled by a corrupt ex-CIA agent. Critics weren't impressed by the plot, but audiences loved the action. The film made $274 million worldwide against an $80 to $82 million budget. It opened at #1 in multiple countries and proved that Stallone could still draw crowds. The success of The Expendables turned into a franchise. The Expendables 2 in 2012 was even bigger and brought in Jean-Claude Van Damme and Chuck Norris. Many fans consider it the best in the series. The Expendables 3 came out in 2014, and even though it didn't perform as well, the series continued. In 2023, Expendables showed that audiences still had an interest in these action heroes. Sylvester Stallone's personal life has been filled with drama, heartbreak, and unexpected reunions. In 1994, after 6 years together, he ended his relationship with Jennifer Flavin in the most shocking way possible. Instead of a conversation, he sent her a 6-page handwritten letter through FedEx. Flavin had no idea why he ended things until she learned the truth from her modeling agent. Stallone had been seeing supermodel Janice Dickinson, who had just given birth to a daughter named Savannah. Both Stallone and Dickinson believed he was the father. But when a DNA test proved the real father was Michael Birnbaum, Dickinson's boyfriend at the time, Stallone cut ties with her immediately. His last words to her were short and cold. "Send my regards to Mr. Birnbaum." For Flavin, the betrayal was devastating. She had been planning a future with Stallone, only to find out about his affair in the most painful way possible. But fate had other plans. In 1995, the two reconnected, and by 1996, they had their first daughter, Sophia. A year later, they got married in a small ceremony at the Dorchester Hotel in London. Over the next few years, they had two more daughters, Sistine in 1998 and Scarlett in 2002. Stallone became a devoted father, but kept strict rules. His daughters weren't allowed to date until nearly 18. They had a curfew of 10 p.m. and couldn't get their driver's licenses until adulthood. Despite the tough parenting style, his daughters always spoke highly of him. In 2024, the family starred in The Family Stallone, a reality show on Paramount Plus that gave fans a look into their lives. For years, Stallone and Flavin seemed to have a perfect marriage. Then, in August 2022, everything changed. Flavin filed for divorce, accusing him of reckless spending and mishandling their finances. Fans were stunned. Just months earlier, the couple had celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary. Rumors spread that the real reason for the divorce was Stallone's decision to buy a Rottweiler named Dwight. Some said Flavin was furious about the impulsive purchase. Both denied this was the main reason for their split, but the timing raised questions. A month later, everything took another unexpected turn. Stallone and Flavin met in private and decided to give their marriage another chance. They filed legal paperwork to stop the divorce, and Stallone promised to prioritize family over work. Since then, he has made sure to show Flavin how much she means to him. He writes her love notes, brings flowers, helps around the house, and plans romantic trips. The near divorce made him realize what was truly important. But not everything in Stallone's life has been about love and second chances. Over the years, he has faced serious allegations that threatened his reputation. In 2017, the Daily Mail published a report about a woman who claimed Stallone sexually assaulted her in 1986 when she was 16. She alleged that Stallone and his bodyguard, Michael DeLuca, pressured her into unwanted acts at a Las Vegas hotel. The report referenced a police file from that time, but when journalists tried to verify it, the Las Vegas police couldn't locate the original records. Stallone denied everything, calling the accusation ridiculous and completely false. That same year, another woman came forward, saying Stallone assaulted her in 1987 and again in 1990. She told Santa Monica police she had confided in friends at the time, but when questioned, none of them could confirm her story. Prosecutors reviewed the case, but declined to press charges. They cited a lack of evidence and the fact that the allegations were past California's statute of limitations. Stallone maintained that he had a consensual relationship with the woman and insisted he had done nothing wrong. These accusations surfaced during the #MeToo movement, a time when Hollywood was facing a wave of sexual misconduct allegations. Some actors lost their careers, others faced criminal charges. Stallone avoided legal trouble, and investigations into the claims never led to formal charges. But the allegations left a mark on his public image. Then came more controversy, this time on the set of Tulsa King, a Paramount Plus series he starred in. Reports surfaced in 2022 that Stallone had made inappropriate comments about extras during filming in Atlanta. According to multiple sources, he referred to background actors as ugly and insisted that pretty young girls be placed around him in scenes. The backlash was immediate. Rose Locke, a respected casting director, resigned from the show, calling the work environment toxic. Writer Julie Benson shared details of the accusations online, and the controversy gained traction. Some dismissed the reports as exaggerations. Others believed they exposed a long-standing problem in Hollywood. Paramount Plus acknowledged the allegations but took no action against Stallone. The show's director claimed the issue was a misunderstanding caused by disagreements over casting choices. But for many, the damage was done. Then, in 2023, Pamela Anderson made a stunning claim in her Netflix documentary, Pamela, A Love Story. She alleged that years ago, Stallone had offered her a luxury condo and a Porsche in exchange for becoming his #1 girl. According to Anderson, he told her, "That's the best offer you'll get, honey. You're in Hollywood now." She rejected him, wondering if #1 meant there would be other women ranked below her. Stallone responded quickly, calling her story false and completely made up. His team insisted nothing like that ever happened, but Anderson stood by her claim, saying she had no reason to lie. The story reignited debates about Stallone's past and his reputation with women in Hollywood.